Last night about 11:42 p.m. in the 50 block of Mack Street, a young 13-year-old child along with his cousin, Mr. Terry Penn, were coming back from a grocery store or gas station of some sort, and Mr. Penn was handling a firearm. And handling that firearm carelessly and with reckless disregard, the weapon went off, incidentally striking the 13-year-old and killing the 13-year-old child. So in that, we did not charge Mr. Penn with murder, but with manslaughter. But I think it's so unfortunate, and I hope you do hear this part, that our hearts really are with the families. Both of these young men are young, 13 and 18 years of age. I've got one mother that is going to have to bury a 13-year-old child, while the 18-year-old's mother has to deal with the consequences of her son handling a firearm. I think this is also an important time to say that because we can do something doesn't necessarily mean we do. Well, what does that mean? Well, Mr. Penn obviously was not familiar with the firearm. And, if you don't understand firearms, if you don't know how to handle or use them, and have a competence level that goes with that to be able to possess and carry that weapon, that's what I mean by because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should do something. And this is unfortunate, but our hearts and prayers here at the police department are with both family. It's unfortunate, that this incident happened. But in consulting with the district attorney's office, it was important that we still brought the charge because we still have to deal with the death of a 13-year-old child.
Absolutely. And do you have a message for the parents possibly in this situation as well?
Well, let me say this. I often talk about parental involvement, and I don't know that this is the time to have that conversation. Both parents are having to deal with the situation at hand. They are still going to be family when this is over with. And, my thoughts are is that, we've done our part. And as we move forward, it'll be in the hands of the district attorney's office to prosecute. And I'm sure that the family in this particular case will be involved in that process every step of the way.
Okay. And do we know if Mr. Penn had a prior criminal record or negligence or anything?
Well, Mr. Penn is 18 years old, so, one, I can't divulge whether he has a record or not as a juvenile. But nonetheless, whether he has a record or not, this is not one of those cases where we're dealing with a drive-by shooting or we're dealing with a gang member. And I know we've had our share of that, but this is really a situation where an 18-year-old that more than likely wasn't mature enough to handled a weapon that he shouldn't have had, that subsequently caused the death of his cousin.
Sure, and you kind of touched on this already, but you would say that this is truly a tragedy because it is so senseless and it's an accident.
It is senseless in that, we have a 13-year-old, again, another 13-year-old child death, a child that's ripped out of our community that could have been prevented. We talk about parental involvement, and I'll just tell you, it's neither here nor there at this point, but at 11:30 at night, a 13-year-old should have been in the bed, being prepared to go to school the following day. And while that child was not in the bed, I can't answer, but what I can tell you, it may have been the very thing that would have prevented this altogether.
Did that child have one gunshot wound then?
I can't discuss how many shots were fired or where the victim sustained the injury because that's all a part of material evidence that's for the court.
Very good. And do you happen to have a rough number estimate of how many children, juveniles, have died by gunfire this year alone?
Well, I don't have that handy with you, but I could certainly get Mr. Blake over there to get that to you. Linda, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, we a preliminary autopsy was conducted. So, saying that to say this, the autopsy was consistent with the facts of the case. That's why he was charged with manslaughter instead of murder.
That's a good point.
Is anything else you have that you might be missing or anything that's pertinent?
Yeah, no, I don't. I know that, you know, a lot of people may ask about the identity of the child, but because of Alabama law, I can't divulge that information. But, you know, a lot of the facts of this will come out in the preliminary, you know, with the courts. But it's unfortunate, and our hearts are with the family. But, you know, our prayers are also with our officers and our investigators. And, you know, they have to deal with these situations as well, and many of them have children along that same age group. So not only does it affect the family, but it certainly affects the men and women of the police department.
All right, thank you all.
All right, thank you.